Hello and welcome to the Boot Camp for Your Mind podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Werdeman, certified holistic life, weight, and career coach. What's happening, friends? So I can't believe it's already day 6 of this 10-day detox. If you have not listened to the previous episode, I talked about how I am embarking on a journey with a group of people through my CrossFit gym on a 10-day detox. What are we detoxing from? We are detoxing from sugar, caffeine, dairy, gluten, alcohol, all processed foods, which you would be amazed at what is considered processed and how many things are processed. But anywho, so here I am. I am on day 6, and I gotta tell you, it's not as hard as I thought. I don't know why I'm whispering that. But no, in all reality, what I thought was going to be the most difficult part for me was not enjoying my wine and cheese at night. It was funny because, like I said, a lot of people were like, oh my God, what am I going to do without my coffee in the morning? I'm going to be so tired, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what am I going to do without my wine and cheese? I honestly could have cared less about the coffee part. So it's funny. Everybody has their thing. And to be honest with you, the parts that I really don't miss the cheese and I don't miss the wine. That was my brain freaking out. So I know I mentioned in the previous episode, and if you haven't listened to it, I have some really good actually tools. If you're ever setting out to try to accomplish something, I do have some good tools that I mentioned in that episode right before this. But yeah, so when we do set out to try to tackle something or accomplish something, set a goal for ourselves, our brains are hardwired for safety. So if there is something that seems difficult or scary or just outside of the box, our brains are going to start to freak out and find ways to try to keep us safe, to try to keep us from taking extra steps. So for me, it was like, oh my gosh. And I'll be honest, I enjoy my glasses of wine at night, and I love my charcuterie board treats that I make. So because that's something that I do on a consistent basis, my brain started to freak out and was like, hey, wait, hold up. This is really scary. What are we going to do at night when we watch TV or we want to unwind or relax? So what's funny about that, here I am on day 6, and I really, I'm okay. I'm okay. I've been okay without them. And I will say I've been 90%, I don't want to say perfect because it's not perfect, but I've stuck to everything 90%. And I will share with you that one, I'm going to call it a blooper. And I'll share that later. But yeah, it's kind of been, it's been really eye-opening, because I will say the hardest part for me has been finding something to drink that I enjoy other than just water. So I don't know if I mentioned caffeine. We can't do caffeine. I think I said it, but if not. So I enjoy this really nice, it's not a lot of caffeine, but it's a green tea. Yeah. It's a green tea called Junie. They have all sorts of adaptogens and just natural, adaptogens that just they're calming, and I thoroughly enjoy them at nighttime or just in the afternoon, just for something to drink, because I do normally drink a lot of water anyway. I am not a huge seltzer person. I have been trying to enjoy seltzer because basically our drinking options are water with some sort of fruit, decaf tea. I have had that at night. So that's truly been, I think, the hardest part for me, because I'm like, can I please just have something besides water? We were eating dinner the other night, and we made steak and potatoes, and I'm looking at my son's glass of milk, and I'm like, oh my God, I could totally just go for a cold glass of milk. But anyway, I'm not here to talk about the food that I've been eating. but just more so like it was funny what my brain was trying to keep me safe from. In hindsight, like that's not my biggest struggle. So as I go through these 10 days, I wanted to jump on now that I'm halfway through and just share some of the coaching tools that I've been using on myself that I use with clients over these last 6 days. And I know that doesn't seem like a lot. And typically when we do set out to achieve something or try something new, I usually coach on, for most circumstances, depending on what it is, but that we take baby steps, because baby steps is really how things are going to change for the good in the long run. And this is a completely different situation because it's the whole detox and whatnot. So it's kind of like, that's a lot of stuff to give up all at once. And it's fine. I knew that my brain was going to go through a detox. I knew my body was going to go through a detox. And I just had to kind of be the witness of my body and of the thoughts that were gonna come. And it's just been really cool. So I will say one of the biggest tools that I have used from my toolbox that I coach on is having self-compassion for yourself. And that means self-compassion with no judgment. Judgment that's a whole other episode, and I'm reading this really cool book called The Judgment Detox by Gabrielle Bernstein. I can't wait to go through it because it's amazing. It's learning how to let go of the judgment you have for yourself and judgment that you have for others. And it's not like you'll never judge, but it's learning how to recognize when you are judging, not putting any guilt or shame on your judgment, but it's basically working through it and how to lessen all the judgment that we have. We all have it. We're humans, whatever. But anyway, so using self-compassion with no judgment. And how did this show up in my life over the last 6 days? So the first day, this is when like the motivation is there. You remember, a lot of people, it's January 1st or it's the first week in January and it's like, woohoo, like let's go to the gym, let's eat healthy. Like you're motivated. But as we know, motivation is a feeling. Motivation will not last. It will come and go, just like every other feeling. So, first day, feeling super good, like, let's crush this. It gets to the evening time, and my husband is doing this with me, which has made it so much better, because we're both kind of like, we look at each other sometimes, we're like, okay, I guess it's time for another piece of fruit. But yeah, so the first day, so it was a Thursday. So we had sports. We had, my daughter does dance. She does cheer. My son does football, all the things. And we had a lot going on that night. And we were just both really tired. And that is one of the things that your body goes through when it's like, hey, hold up, like what's happening here? Because your body starts to release toxins. So the first couple days you can feel almost flu-like. We didn't have that. It depends on, what your diet looks like normally. But we were definitely tired. We were definitely, when I say we, I guess me on the cranky. I don't know about him. He doesn't act too cranky, although he did have his moments. But just having compassion and recognizing. So like that night, we were in bed by 8 o'clock just watching TV. Like made sure the kids were done. Everybody was fed. And it was like, you know what? Like it's okay to like lay down even though it's only 8 o'clock at night. And some people go to bed at 8 o'clock at night. To each his own. I mean, we don't stay up that late anyway. We're usually asleep by like 10. But it was listening to our bodies, because when we woke, I had a crappy night's sleep that first night. Like I was sweating. And given that it was only day one, it's just fascinating to see how our bodies were just meant to self-heal. So that night, and I typically will take sometimes like an ashwagandha gummy, which is just a natural adaptogen. And I couldn't take it because it technically had a little bit of sugar in it. So I didn't have my normal like bedtime thingy to take to help me sleep. So I tossed and turned probably most of the night. According to my Aura ring, I basically had a shitty night's sleep, which I was totally fine with. So that Friday, I purposely didn't make a jam-packed schedule because I knew if I knew my body was going to be tired. Like, why would I do that to myself? So I showed myself a lot of compassion, and I went out for a walk that morning, and I embraced the fact that like I could really feel my body needing rest. And I think sometimes, I know this is true for me, not so much anymore, but coming off of working 60 hours a week with a really tough commute and never really being off, I felt like. But when we're not busy doing things, sometimes a lot of people have a hard time with that. Anxiety comes up because then your feelings start to come up. And for me, it used to be, well, if I'm not busy doing things, like, what am I doing? Am I lazy? So having compassion and understanding for my own body, knowing that it was going to need rest, was huge. And being okay with that. Like, I spent the day, I read, I just took a walk outside, I did some emails, and that was really it. Like, I did a ton of food prep, which was totally fun. And yeah, like I listened in and I took care of myself. And part of this self-compassion also entails saying no is okay. And by that, I mean, we were invited last weekend to numerous things that would have normally been something that we would have jumped at, we would have loved to have done. But I decided to say no. My husband decided to say no because we didn't want to put ourselves in a position of, so for example, one was like this big lobster fest that is in one of the towns near us, like by the water and stuff. Super fun day. And gosh, it was a beautiful, beautiful Saturday. And basically there's a lot of local vendors, and there's beer tents, and there's wine, and there's all this good food. And not to say we couldn't have went, but like this was day 3 of detoxing. I'm not putting myself surrounded by all of the things that I love to consume that I can't consume at the current moment. Or I shouldn't say I can't. I'm choosing not to. So, in being okay with that, a lot of people, sometimes they're afraid to say no to invitations because they're afraid they're letting someone down. And I just offer to you, like, tune in. If you're saying yes to things that you really don't want to be doing, that literally don't feel good in your body, just stop, take a couple deep breaths, and just ask yourself, like, what happens if I say no? Like, and you honor your own commitments. And I will tell you, so that is what we did. We said no. I had such a nice, relaxing day. I actually did all of my fall stuff. I got all my mums and my pumpkins and decorated. I sat in the hot tub that we have with my son that night and just looked at like the stars. I drank a ton of water. We had an event at my workshop that I went down to help set up for. It was a meditate and paint, and just ate healthy food that day. And it was just such a nice Saturday. And it was because I took the time to really tune into my body and honor myself. And I didn't want to put myself in a position where I was constantly like looking at things I couldn't have. Now, if this was, let's say, day 30 and I was used to it, that's a whole nother story. But this was day 3. My mind and my body were still detoxing. So learning to say no, and this wasn't the only thing I said no to. There were other things that we were just like, nope, you know what? We're going to just take a step back this weekend or this week. Different lunch dates. People had asked me to go out to lunch. I just chose to say no because I knew what was best for my body. Another tool that I often talk with clients about is comparison. And I think Tony Robbins says something to this extent, but it's like comparison is the thief of joy or something. I'm totally butchering that, but the idea behind it is when we are constantly comparing ourselves to other people and other people's journey, we're robbing from our own joy. And I'll give you an example, because I think with social media and Facebook and, Instagram and all that stuff, we can be really happy where we're at. Maybe it's a career, maybe it's our family, maybe it's, our finances or our wellness journeys, whatever it may be. We may feel really good about ourselves. But if you get on Facebook or you get on Instagram or wherever it is, TikTok, I don't use TikTok, but if you get on one of these platforms and you start scrolling and you're looking at somebody else's posts and pictures and all of that, and all of a sudden you start to compare where you're at versus where they are at, or where they're kind of showing that they're at, which may not actually even be accurate, and you start to then feel bad about where you're at, even though just a couple minutes ago you were feeling really good. I want you to start to recognize that. One, because what people post on social media isn't necessarily true. And two, you don't know what their journey has been. So yes, they may be at a different spot in their journey. So I say this when I see other people that seem to be like crushing this detox, like maybe they started earlier, or they've been doing it for a long time. I think that's awesome. And I think it's part of, like, I'm not where some of these people are at. For me, like, I totally think I'm crushing this this detox, like, especially compared to where I was a week and a half ago. So just be mindful of where you are comparing yourself to others, because if you really stop and think about it, when you do that, you can rob yourself of your own joy and your own pride and your own excitement, really. So that was a tool that I had to use, or I continue to use, when I do see other people. For example, like, I'll talk to some of my friends that have done this in the past, or they're doing something similar, or they're doing this, and they're like, oh yeah, like I dropped, 4 pounds in the first 5 days. And I'm like, damn. I was like, not me. And it's very easy for my brain to be like, well, you're not doing this right. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, how come you didn't lose 4 pounds? And to notice when that starts to kind of go through your head, like for me, I was like, oh, wait, hold up. My body is different. My journey is different. I'm doing everything right. And I use my little quotation marks, but with my fingers. But yeah, like, just because this number on the scale hasn't moved much and somebody else's has, doesn't mean I'm doing anything wrong. My body is just reacting differently, and I know it's going to catch up eventually. So that's kind of one of the things that, we journal. Part of this detox is journaling and meditating, which both things I do on a regular basis anyway. But it's kind of just recognizing, like, what thoughts are you having? Because if you find that going on and comparing yourself to other people's journey, again, this doesn't have to be in terms of like a health or wellness goal. It could be somebody's career. It could be their travel. It could be the size of their house, whatever it is. Just recognize it, note, and move on, because you don't want comparison to steal your joy. And the third thing that has helped tremendously, and I recommend this for anything that you are looking to accomplish in your life, again, whatever area that may be, is community and support. So we have this awesome Facebook group for everybody that is doing the detox, but also it's this whole nutrition reset. So once we're done with the detox, then you go into kind of like a continuation for the next 7 weeks or so. And it's more about just watching. When I say watching what you eat, it's not counting calories per se. It's just really being able to understand how your body reacts to different foods, what makes it feel good, what's good for it, what's giving you energy, what's making you feel less bloated, and just really learning and feeding your body what your body is actually craving. So actually, a side note on that, what you feed your body on a consistent basis. So this is what's kind of cool about the detox, your body will crave. So that's why if you're eating a lot of dairy, you're eating a lot of gluten, you're eating a lot of sugar, when you remove those, your body's going to start to be like, hold up, like it needs to bring itself back to homeostasis. So that's kind of where the detox comes in. So if you start focusing on eating more fruits and vegetables and whole foods and clean foods, your body is going to then start to crave that type of food. Same with activity level. But anywho, back to the community aspect of things. Having a community and a support system is so crucial, I think, in terms of seeing yourself succeed in what it is that you're trying to do. So for me, I have this awesome Facebook group with the people that are in this program. We actually share different foods, different ideas, different struggles, because everybody's kind of going through a very similar thing. So if you're struggling with something, you just put it out there, or you reach out to somebody, and you're going to get a lot of support back. So I have my coach who runs the whole program. Like, she's there, the other coaches are there, the other members are there. And it just kind of keeps you going, because you are going to have moments. Like, I had grumpy moments. I had moments where I was craving things and I just wanted to be like, screw this. Like, this is stupid. But it's motivating when you have somebody that you can just touch base with and be like, you know what? I'm having a bad day, or I'm having a bad moment. Just having that support. And I love being that support for my clients. Because I just get like the funniest emails. And I think sometimes too, it's just when a client reaches out to me and can kind of laugh at themselves, it kind of gets them away from whatever situation or stuckness that they're in. But so having a community or a support system is huge. Have a coach, whether it's a business coach or a life coach or a health coach. Having that support, that accountability to help keep you moving forward. Because again, if you have motivation, that's amazing. That's awesome. Motivation is a feeling. It is something, it's like a muscle. It's going to get tired. It is not going to last. So you need to have some sort of plan in place for when you are not motivated. So those are the key tools that I have found that I have been using these last 6 days. So the lack of judgment, the lack of comparison. And again, we are human beings. We are always going to have some sort of judgment. We are always going to compare ourselves. It's just a matter of recognizing when you are doing it to not let it take you down like in a downward spiral. And then having that self-compassion and really utilizing and listening to your body. When your body feels physically tired, take a rest. Like, it's okay. If you want to spend an afternoon watching Netflix and, I don't know, just chilling, like, there's nothing wrong with that. If your body is asking for that, then sometimes it's okay. Do you want to do it every day? No. But you know what I mean. Just listen to your body. And then it's okay to say no to people in events and things. And just, there's so many different things thrown at us all the time that sometimes if you're a people pleaser like myself, saying no can be really hard. And you might feel like you're letting somebody down, or you feel guilty or whatnot. But it really is okay to say no. And once you start saying no, it gets easier. That I can promise you. So, all right, yeah. So here's my halfway mark. I am going to check back in with you after the 10 days. Oh my gosh, like that is right around the corner. I can't believe it. But anywho, thank you so much for listening. It's another beautiful fall day up here. We could use some rain. I think it's coming on Thursday, but I'll take it. It was a beautiful walk in nature this morning, and wherever and whenever you are listening to this, I hope you are doing fabulous and you are amazing and you rock. Take care. Bye.